I don't even know if it works. Yes, I do have it on. I do have it on.
Good evening, everyone. The formal meeting of the Richmond City Council will now come to order. At this time, we'll have some important announcements provided by our security manager and the city clerk. Mr. Winborn, if you would proceed.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting.
Buenas noches a todos y bienvenidos al consejo de esta noche.
My name is Dr. Winborn. I'm here to bring you a few do's and don'ts that govern us while we're in council chambers.
Mi nombre es el Dr. Winborn y vengo aquí a darles unas reglas de las cosas que pueden hacer y no pueden hacer hoy en la Cámara del Consejo.
During tonight's City Council meeting, there will be no loud noise, no clapping, and no loud outbursts.
Durante esta sesión no vamos a permitir de que aplaudan o de que hagan ruidos bulliciosos durante la sesión.
You must remain seated at all times while in council chambers.
Debe de mantenerse sentados durante todo el tiempo que esté en la reunión del Consejo.
If you need to utilize the restrooms, the men's restroom is out the doors to your left.
Si necesitan usar o utilizar los baños de los hombres está dirigido a la izquierda, afuera de la Cámara del Consejo.
If you also need to use the women's restroom, it's out the doors to the rear of the left, but down the hall.
Y si necesitan usar los baños para las señoras, también está dirigido a la izquierda del Consejo, pero dirigido a la planta baja de las escaleras.
If you have a sign, please be mindful of the person sitting behind you.
Si tienen un rótulo, por favor tengan en mente a la persona que está sentada detrás de usted.
If you decide while in council chambers that you would like to leave, the exit is also out the rear of the chambers to your left.
Si en cualquier momento ustedes deciden irse de la reunión del Consejo, la salida es a la izquierda de la Cámara del Consejo.
We ask that you please abide by the rules that govern us in council chambers. If not, you'll be asked to leave.
Le pedimos que por favor sigan las órdenes y las instrucciones que le hemos dado de seguir en esta sesión. Si no pueden seguir esas instrucciones, le vamos a pedir que por favor salgan de esta reunión.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Spanish interpretation is available in the council chamber. Please see a representative at the rear of the room to receive the appropriate equipment. Spanish interpretation is also available through Microsoft Teams for virtual attendees in need of this service.
Hay interpretación en español disponible en la Cámara del Consejo. Por favor, diríjase a un representante a la parte posterior de la Cámara para recibir el equipo correspondiente. La interpretación en español también está disponible a través de Microsoft Teams para asistentes virtuales que necesiten dichos servicios.
Thank you. At this time, the invocation will be offered by Reverend Emily Bagwell of Centenary Downtown United Methodist Church, and the invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer and gratitude. Gracious and loving God, we give thanks for the gift of this city, for its peoples, for its neighborhoods, its hopes and its challenges. Thank you for all who labor together for the good of our shared life, for those who plan, build, listen, and lead so that every person might find belonging and opportunity here. Grant wisdom and courage to those gathered tonight, that their decisions may be guided by compassion, their priorities grounded in justice and equity, and their actions marked by grace. Help us to seek not only what is efficient or easy, but what is good and lasting, that this city may continue to be a place where all people can thrive in safety, dignity, and peace. Bless this work and all who share in it, that together we may serve with integrity and hope. With gratitude for the many ways people name and know the holy, we offer this prayer in a spirit of unity and peace. Amen.
Right. Thank you, Reverend Bagwell. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you would please provide the chamber emergency evacuation announcement followed by the public speaker guidelines.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairway outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use the elevators or escalator. After exiting the building, security will direct everyone down 9th Street to the assembly area located inside the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. Public speaker guideline. Members of the public wishing to speak during public hearings and/or the public comment period are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before council are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or address or question staff members directly. All questions are to be directed to the President of Council. Failure to adhere to the guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any remaining time, and further disciplinary action is necessary, which could include barring from attendance at future meetings of City Council for a period of 6 months. Members of the public who registered in advance to speak virtually will be called at the appropriate time.
And Madam President, all members of council are in attendance this evening. If there are individuals standing in the back of the chamber, they are asked to be seated where seats are available. Also, as a reminder, no applause is permitted at any point during this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point, we'll proceed with any appointments, reappointments for consideration this evening.
Members, for consideration this evening, you were provided board appointment recommendations from your standing committees. Is there a motion to approve the appointment recommendations?
Madam Chair,
Councilmember Robertson.
I would like to offer a motion to ask that we refer the appointments for the Economic Development Authority and the Commission on Architecture Review to be continued to the January meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to refer the recommendations for appointment to the Economic Development Authority and to the Commission of Architectural Review back to their assigned standing committee meetings in January for further consideration. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar? Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
Is there now a motion to approve the remaining appointment recommendations as presented?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Council is now voting on the remaining appointment recommendations as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill?
Aye.
Those appointments have been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed with the individuals who have signed up for public comment period.
The first speaker for public comment is Amori Speed.
Welcome, Ms. Speed.
Good evening, members and members of the council. My name is Amori Speed. I'm a community organizer with New Virginia Majority, but tonight I'm speaking from my own experience as a tenant who has been personally affected by the impact of rising rents and as a resident of the 7th District. First, I want to thank the council for continuing to engage in conversation about anti-rent gouging being included on the state legislative agenda. It means a lot to tenants who have lived through the instability caused by the unchecked increases of rents. I lost access to on-campus housing because of VCU's lottery system, and since then, I've had no choice but to enter the private rental market. In just a few years, I've had to move every year Not because I wanted to, but because rent kept increasing beyond what my roommates and I could afford as full-time students with part-time jobs. My first apartment went from $1,440 to $1,865. The next one from $1,570 to $1,770. And the apartment after that, which was less than 450 square feet, jumped from $1,000 to $1,215 without utilities being included. This is not stability, that's survival. This is why tenant protections against excessive rent hikes are essential. No one should have to move every year just to avoid being priced out of their homes. Even this is a privileged stance, as we know that people aren't only priced out of their homes, but priced out of their neighborhoods, routines, and even the city altogether. When New Virginia Majority tenant leaders were advocating for the Family Crisis Fund, members of both council and the administration wanted more upstream approaches to addressing the housing crisis. This is exactly that. While developing housing takes years, consumer protections for tenants like anti-rent gouging are a cost-effective way to keep our community housed right now. I agree that strong and safe schools and water infrastructure are much-needed priorities. These, combined with housing, create a strong legislative packet that shows the city is prioritizing the essentials. If we want to keep families in our neighborhoods and prevent homelessness, we need the city to use its voice and its influence to strongly and unapologetically back tenant protection bills. It is important to note that these proactive approaches to anti-displacement give protection to our vulnerable communities who are currently living in fear of retaliation for speaking up in their living situations. This, as well as a trust policy that protects our immigrant communities, will cultivate a strong and safe city for your constituents.
You have 30 seconds.
Supply alone won't solve this crisis. Stability will. Thank you all.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Martin Liddell Ensign.
Good evening. My name is Martin Letterly Ensign. I live in the 6th District, and I'm here to speak tonight about failures at the Department of Public Utilities and about City Code Section 28-51. Since July, my spouse and I have been trying to sort out a series of billing errors which were the fault of DPU staff. There have been too many of these mistakes to list in the time I have, but suffice to say, our utility bill hasn't been accurate since January 2024. The city's mistakes will likely end up costing us more than $1,000, plus the stress and the hours of our lives we've spent trying to get this government to take responsibility. DPU's online portal consistently delivers inaccurate bills. Since September, my bill has variously read $220, $11,155, and as of this morning, negative $7,283.59. This is after speaking directly to DPU Director Scott Morris in September and notifying him that my charges were incorrect. We are far from the only people in this city to receive inaccurate bills. Clearly, the system is not working. This leads me to my concerns with the Code of Ordinances. Section 28-51 states, and I'm paraphrasing for time, failure to receive a bill shall not exempt a customer from liability for payment of bills, and it shall be the responsibility of the consumer to notify the department of failure to receive a bill and to advise the department whenever it is suspected that charges are improperly billed. This is an absurd ordinance, and it only serves to protect a department that is not doing its job. How can working Richmonders be expected to trust that their bills are accurate? How can we know when they are inaccurate? With a post office that so frequently fails to deliver mail that our senators got involved, how can DPU expect us to receive our bills? How can we trust that DPU is dealing in good faith when we live with the results of years of mismanagement and corruption? 2025 has demonstrated in dramatic, catastrophic fashion that DPU needs massive changes. I want to believe that Dr. Morris and his team are working on these changes, and I know that fixing a bureaucracy takes time. However, it should not be the responsibility of Richmond citizens to pay for DPU's mistakes. So I'll leave the council with this question. What are you going to do to correct this unjust ordinance and put the responsibility of correct billing on DPU rather than the citizens of Richmond? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liddell Ensign.
The next speaker is Anna Makowicz.
Welcome, Ms. Makowicz.
Good evening. Thank you for listening tonight. I'm here to speak enthusiastically in favor of very necessary anti-rent gouging legislation. Some of these landlords and developers, they don't think about the tenants, the human beings living in the apartments that need to live there. There's no consideration for that. They're generating homelessness. What, are they going to raise rent by 100, by 100, by 100 every year, by 400 like they have for some people? When someone is addicted to drugs, they go to a rehabilitation clinic. When they're addicted to money, they get public policy favoritism. We need anti-rent gouging legislation in order to actually ensure that in a few years, people are going to be able to afford to live in their homes. Yes, this applies to working people. Yes, this applies to people who are even middle class, and not to mention low-income people who really can't afford to live in any apartment by themselves. So this is a necessity for us to have a community that actually serves the public, the general public. We need to have an economy that actually is for human beings, not for the worship of money and for machines to replace people. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Copeland Casati, and I believe Ms. Casati is virtual. You may unmute your microphone when you're ready. Copeland Casati, if you are ready to make your comment, please unmute your mic.
She has raised her hand, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, I see her hand raised, but Ms. Casati, you do need to unmute yourself. We cannot unmute you. So there is a microphone icon that should be next to your name where you can unmute. Madam President, would you like to come back to Ms. Casati at the end of the public comment period?
Absolutely. Maybe someone can talk with her off on the side there to try to assist with this. Yes.
Okay. The next speaker is Maria Duster.
Welcome, Ms. Duster.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Maria Duster, and I work for the Community Climate Collaborative, or C3. We are a local nonprofit fighting for climate action and environmental justice in Richmond. I am here tonight to talk about high energy costs in Richmond and the need for a city-led energy efficiency program. As many people in this room might know, energy costs are rising rapidly across Virginia, in part due to a surge in demand from data centers. Residential energy rates increased 20% statewide in the past 5 years and are expected to continue increasing. C3's own research published this year found that nearly 1/3 of all households in Richmond are energy burdened, which means that they spend more than 6% of their monthly income on their utility bills. 1 in 5 households pay more than 10% on their energy bills. This means that Richmond ranks among the top cities in the nation for energy burden, specifically for low-income Black and renter households. Combined with the ongoing housing affordability crisis in this city, which some advocates have already spoken to tonight, residents simply can't keep up with the rising cost of living. Weatherization and energy efficiency upgrades can reduce energy burden and save these households hundreds of dollars annually on their energy bills. They can also improve and preserve existing housing stock and make homes healthier and safer for residents, ensuring that no one has to make trade-offs between keeping the heat on and other necessities. Federal sources for weatherization and energy assistance are at risk, making state and local programs more important than ever. Both RVA Green 2050, the city's climate plan, and the new mayor's pillars emphasize the importance of affordable, sustainable, and energy efficient built environment. It's time to act on this. we're calling on the city to create and fund an energy efficiency program that works in tandem with existing state and federal funding to reduce energy burden and the cost of living for vulnerable households. This program can build on the city's Healthy Homes program and the Energy and Conservation Block Grant programs and serve as a more flexible pool of funding for service providers to tap into. Policies and programs tailored towards serving renters are especially needed since many renters face very high energy
You have
burdens.
30 seconds.
And renters typically do not have control or capital for building repairs and retrofits. Combined with measures such as increasing funds to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, investing in policies like the rental inspection program, we believe an energy efficiency program led by this city is an essential piece of making Richmond more affordable and sustainable for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Kwesi Powell.
Welcome, Mr. Powell.
How you doing? Good evening. My name is Kwesi Powell. I'm a member of New Virginia Majority, and today I'm coming to speak on my experience with housing in Virginia, specifically Richmond. In all truth, it's been a struggle. Being homeless in my early 20s, I've experienced discrimination and bias in all areas of my life, especially housing and employment. From going from job to job due to mental illness to sleeping on benches, buses, and paying for the last trip to the airport to experience heat, I'm asking for the anti-rent gouging bill to be added to the top 5 bills priorities for our statewide agenda. Housing in Richmond is extremely hard to get, and with being displaced, it becomes even harder to apply to, with having to pay for things like application fees and security deposits. From my personal background, rent increases not only burden, but destroy the concept of being housed, as it provides an anxiety that never lets up. That anxiety that rent will never be paid, that anxiety that your next paycheck is never big enough, and the anxiety of having somewhere to sleep the next day is all I've experienced since I've turned 21 in the state of Virginia. I'm saddened, especially with the loss of my mother to a stroke, who's worried about the same thing and knew how to work 3 jobs or 1 job for 70 to 80 hours, experiencing the same issue or predicament that I've been in. I stand here today to say, please prioritize this bill and your legislative priorities to allow renters a peace of mind when finally finding a place to sleep. I know it sounds small and non-essential, but bills like these matter as they provide a peace of mind and protective layer that allows us to wake up and work our jobs to the best of our abilities. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and please continue to fight the good fight as the small triumphs matter when overlooking the bigger picture.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Keisha Davis. Keisha Davis. Madam President, would you like me to go back to Ms. Casati to see if she's able to unmute her microphone device?
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Davis is here.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. My name is Keisha Davis. I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm speaking on behalf of my residence, which is the Southwood Apartments. I've been there for approximately 2 years and 7 months. I've been having issues with rodents coming inside the apartment through the walls and holes. I went to the apartment complex and asked them about it. It's like it's no help there. I understand they're now under new management, and I believe they need help in getting this problem fixed. So I'm coming to the city council to see if we can get the city council for that district to come out and maybe help and look into it help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
The last speaker is Copeland Casati.
Thank you.
We want homes for all our neighbors with resiliency and solar access for all. Richmond will never become 60% green or net zero if we don't address the solar, soil, and carbon elephants in the room. Tall density by right will block existing community solar access. Mandatory shadow modeling must occur for new builds over 3 stories to ensure communities maintain their opportunities to improve health, reduce utility costs, and offer solar access for all. We must consider carbon impacts. Demolitions vaporize existing affordable housing, and affect the community for years. Yet we are not considering whole life carbon impacts, which should be mandatory. When approved, a 20% carbon tax should be paid to that neighborhood impacted. Prioritize retrofits to increase energy efficiency, prevent displacement, and lower carbon and costs with reuse. A retrofit energy incentive could give landlords a tax credit towards energy efficient upgrades. Renters could stay like any homeowner undergoing renovation instead of being displaced. If the landlord uses the credit, they could reduce rent while renovations are underway and maintain those rents for current tenants while they use incentives. As we celebrated Richmond Tree Week, there was scant mention that the vast majority of Richmond's soil and tree canopy is on residential lots and must be protected. A tree removal permit for any tree 4 inches or more in diameter will help protect the 85% of our tree canopy that is located on private lots. Did you notice amenity space replaced the term yard in the refresh? Amenity space is not soil-based yards. Do you know what counts as amenity space? Pools, balconies, and storage lockers. We must protect our unbuilt soil and resilience opportunity on every lot because you can't eat fire pits. Allowing duplexes by right removes the local home ownership opportunities, which investors convert to luxury rentals. By right duplexes and increased building heights encourage demolition of smaller existing affordable housing and rentals. Just released data shows that in the third quarter, 30% of single-family homes were bought by investors who owned 3 or more properties. Finally, if you truly want to reduce emissions and sprawl, promote remote work and save farmland. During COVID, Richmond's traffic was reduced by 45% with a 35% decrease in nitrogen dioxide. Blanket zoning smothers resilience and affordable housing opportunities.
Thank you. You have reached your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Copeland. I would first like to thank all of you who've come down to share your comments, feedback, and for those who came in reference to the anti-gouging bill, I will just share with you that this council, along with the administration, concur that this is a priority, and that item is among our top 5 items that will be going over to the General Assembly to request the opportunity to address that in terms of our local legislation. So just to let you know that, thank you. All others, if you would, for follow-up, Mr. Cordell Hayes is in the audience someplace. And so if you will follow or meet him in the back to work to get follow-up in terms of the items that you have raised that were not anti-rent gouging. As I said, the anti-rent gouging is amongst our 5 top priority items. With that, again, thank you for coming and providing and sharing your comments, feedback this evening. With that, Madam Clerk, let's move on to review any amendments to tonight's agenda.
Madam President, the amendments to tonight's agenda are as follows. Item 1, Ordinance 2025-014 will be continued to the Monday, December 8th Council meeting. Item 3, Ordinance 2025-150 will be continued to the Monday, January 12th, 2026 Council meeting. Item 5, Ordinance 2025-209, and Item 6, Ordinance 2025-211 will both be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, December 8th Council meeting. Item 8, Ordinance 2025-215 will be continued to the Monday, December 8th Council meeting. Item 12, Ordinance 2025-228 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, December 8th Council meeting. Item 15, Ordinance 2025-231 will be continued to the Monday, January 12th, 2026 Council meeting. Item 25, Resolution 2025-R043, will be continued to the Monday, December 8th council meeting, and that paper will now be referred back to the Finance and Economic Development Standing Committee on November 19th. Item 27, Resolution 2025-R045, will be continued to the Monday, December 8th council meeting. Item 32, Ordinance 2025-180. Item 33, Ordinance 2025-190. And Item 34, Ordinance 2025-210, will all be continued to the Monday, December 8th council meeting. Item 35, Ordinance 2025-240, will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, December 8th council meeting. And item 36, Resolution 2025-R046, will be continued to the Monday, December 8th council meeting. And Madam President, those are all the amendments to tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Council is now voting on this evening's agenda amendments as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved and the amended agenda is now before you.
And Madam President, the consent agenda this evening consists of the following items. Item 2, Ordinance 2025-113. Item 4, 2025-174. Item 7, 2025-214. Item 9, 2025-222. Item 10, 2025-225. Item 11, 2025-227. Item 13, 2025-229. 14, item 14, 2025-230. Item 16, 2025-232. 17, item 17, ordinance 2025-233. Item 18, 2025-234. Item 19, 2025-235. Item 20, 2025-236. Item 21, 2025-237. Item 22, 2025-238. Item 23, 2025-239. Item 24, 2025-241. Item 26, Resolution 2025-R044. Item 28, Resolution 2025-R047. 29, Resolution 2025-R048. And lastly, Item 30, Resolution 2025-R049. Madam President, those are all the items on tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any persons amongst the patrons or any patrons desirous of speaking to them or giving any comment prior to public hearing?
Madam President,
No,
are we holding the public hearing on the consent agenda?
No, I'm extending the invitation to any of the patrons on the paper who might want to give any comment prior to us getting underway with the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay, seeing none.
I have one comment.
Yes, please.
No, I'm glad that you asked that. I just, sometimes when things are on consent agenda, we don't get to talk about them or celebrate them. So I did want to highlight, because I think these are two very important things that are very salient to the conversation that's happening now about how to protect folks from displacement, and wanted to celebrate Councilmember Robertson's resolution, to which Councilmember Jones, Vice President Jordan, and myself are signed on to, that really requires or requests the administration to look at all the programs that we have across the city that are put in place to help mitigate/prevent displacement. We currently have no baseline in the city of Richmond to determine whether or not those programs are effective, whether they're working, whether the money is going to the right place. And I think that's a really, really good start. And I also want to celebrate, I know a measure that Councilmember Jordan championed and feels really strongly about, and I do as well, which is the demolition overlay district, and I think that gives a nice complement to some of the changes that could be coming down the pipeline as it relates to our rezoning and how important it is that we have these types of measures on the books to prevent our structures and our buildings from being razed, as does often happen in particularly underserved communities where you may have opportunities for investors to go in and take down housing and buildings. Oh, I'm sorry, they cannot hear me. You can't hear me. Oh, okay, sorry. But I just think those are two really important measures that may go by, that didn't get a whole lot of sunlight or celebration because they're on the consent agenda, but wanted to highlight those for everybody and thank the patrons.
Thank you. At this point, we'll proceed with the public hearing. All of those persons desirous to speak in opposition to any items on the consent agenda, if you will line up in the aisle here, please. The middle aisle, ready to come down. I want to be clear, this would be the opportunity for anyone who wanted to speak in opposition to any paper on the agenda. Okay.
Hello, first timer here, so apologize if
welcome.
Anything goes awry. My name is Caleb Stewart. I live in the 5th District. I'm talking today about the 2025-222. It is a paper which is going to significantly raise the towing fees if you park in a private lot. So this is not if the city tows your car, to street clean or a police action. This is for if you parked in the wrong parking lot, you're getting towed to Seabert's on the south side, let's say. It's getting raised from $135 to $195. That is a 44.444 repeating percent increase. That is $50 to that is a $25 increase from $50 to $75, I believe, and the other fees are getting raised by $5 respectively. There's a lot of people in this room that care about affordability and the cost of things, and I just would disagree with this even being on the consent agenda in the first place, and would want it opened up to public debate, public speaking. Because I believe that most of the people in this room would be against this, unless you got people here from the towing companies, in which case, hey. So voting for this would be kind of like voting for Darth Vader a little bit. It's when I saw this proposed, it was that we are aligning with the state. The state had increased their cap to, I believe, $210. The Towing Advisory Board had come back and said a compromise would be $195. The Public Safety Standing Committee that I saw this, the city official, said that this originated from a towing lobbyist. I don't think we're in the business of increasing fees at the behest of towing lobbyists. I think if you were to vote aye for this matter, you would have more courage than I do. I sent an email to my city council member saying that, a compromise could be that we could maybe
You have 30 seconds.
increase these fees over time in steps and smaller increments to maybe get to that 195 over time, or just, hey, let's not do this right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there persons present desirous of speaking in favor of any of the items on the consent agenda? If you will line up in the middle aisle. Members, okay, Ms. Reed, and members, given the number of persons desirous of speaking, we want to make sure we can hear from them. We generally will move from 3 to 2 minutes. So, is that? Just a moment. Okay. We will proceed. Pastor, how are you? Come forward, please.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Marvin Gilliam. I serve as the pastor of the Mount Carmel Baptist Church located in the 7th District, as well as co-president for RISC, Richmonders involved in strengthening our communities. And I would like to speak to item 10 on the consent agenda. Tonight we celebrate progress. The $2 million allocation to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a meaningful step, and we are grateful for you for taking that step. However, we also know that our work and your responsibility here cannot end here. Each week, our congregations see the faces behind the crisis, the parents that are working 2 jobs and are still falling behind on rent, the seniors who are choosing between medicine and housing, the families that are praying they won't be the next to receive an eviction notice. The need is urgent and growing. And that's why the Affordable Housing Trust Fund matters. It ensures consistent, reliable funding year after year, offers citizen oversight to keep the process accountable, and dedicates 30% of its dollars to those earning below 30% of the area median income, to the people who are struggling the most. This tool works when funded faithfully. 5 years ago, this council promised to sustain its support and sustain support of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And if that ordinance had been followed, over $30 million would already be changing lives. So tonight, we say with gratitude and conviction, thank you for the $2 million that you are placing into the fund through item 10. And now we encourage you to follow the law, because justice delayed is hope denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? I'm a little short. Good afternoon, or evening, I should say, City Council members. My name is Barbara Thomas, and I'm a RISC member from Second Baptist Church of Southside. I, like other apartment renters in this city, work very hard. I work 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day, and I try to make sure I can pay my rent, water, sewer, trash, electricity, Wi-Fi, cell phone, car payments, car insurance, gas, and oh yeah, I need to eat, so I have to buy groceries too. I'm a current resident of a 400 square foot studio apartment in the city of Richmond that now costs nearly $1,100 a month. That's minimum. When I first moved there in 2021, it was $735. Some days that means I have to make a choice between putting gas in my car and buying those groceries. If I am struggling to do this at 56 years old, imagine the struggle for senior citizens or for single moms. I voted for the mayor with expectations of him being a man of integrity by honoring his campaign promises. I expect you all to honor your promises also. You have been given that power by the residents that you swore to serve. And we don't hope, but we expect you to ensure that the money allotted for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is applied this year and used just for that. Thank you in advance for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Martin Wegbright, a RISC member and a member of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Supervisory Board from 2017 to 2023, and I'm speaking in favor of item 10 on the consent agenda. The testimony you just heard is but a small sample of thousands of housing hardships and heartbreaks impacting Richmonders every day, every week, every month, and every year, with no end in sight. In March 2023, 31 months ago, the mayor and city council declared a housing crisis in Richmond. How is the city doing since then? Sadly, worse than ever. In 2023, there were 12,826 eviction lawsuits filed in Richmond, an average of 1,068 per month. In the first 9 months of this year, there were 9,929 eviction lawsuits filed, an average of 1,109 per month, an increase of 3.25%. In 2023, 51% of tenant households were rent burdened, paying more than 30% of their income for rent. Now, today, that percentage is 52.7% facing rent burden, a distressing increase in housing instability. When the City Council declared the housing crisis in 2023, the affordable housing shortage was 23,320 units. Even if Richmond adds 2,000 affordable housing units a year, a goal to which the city has aspired but never met, those 23,320 units won't be developed until the year 2037, when this year's first graders graduate high school. Richmond must do better. We have the tools to do better. As you will hear from other risk speakers, over the next 8 years, current law requires that $114.7 million in revenue from expiring tax revenues be dedicated to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and used for no other purpose. Your attention to this matter is appreciated. Far more welcomed will be your action to ensure that our most vulnerable residents receive what the law has promised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex Krieger. I am pastor at Bon Air Presbyterian Church and a resident of the 4th District of Richmond, and I speak as well in favor of Ordinance Number 10 on the consent agenda this evening. I'm part of RISC, and we celebrate that $2 million is going into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That is something we rejoice about. But we also know that that's a small fraction of what should be there. As Pastor Gilliam mentioned, it shouldn't be $2 million. There should be $30 million in that fund right now. $30 million, that is a lot more. That should be there if we followed the ordinance, if we followed the law that your constituents, your voters, the people living in Richmond wanted and you all put into place. We would have $30 million there. In the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And there's a couple things with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that is why we so strongly advocate for following the law and putting the money in there. One, it helps those who are at 30% AMI. There's a lot of things that we can call affordable housing. This directly helps the families and individuals most in need of finding housing in our community. This is true affordable housing. Secondly, this Affordable Housing Trust Fund has citizen oversight. It is not just a couple people in a dark room doing things. It is a team of people and citizen oversight, our community, making sure we have affordable housing. And third is this crisis for affordable housing has a very big part of supply side crisis. We need more housing, and that's what this trust fund goes to. Right now, we should have $30 million more in this trust fund. My hope is that in 4 years, we will see $40 million will follow the law and have $40 million more in that trust fund. I hope that we're not back here in 4 years wondering where is that $40 million for affordable housing.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Derek Starr Redwine. I'm a pastor at First Presbyterian Church, Richmond, and a resident of the 4th District. Tonight, Council will vote to financially support 2 luxury hotels in Scott's Addition. A little over a month ago at the Finance and Economic Development Committee, it was shared that these hotels were needed to address a deficiency in tourism lodging. That was less than 40 days ago, and here you are, ready to act. In my faith tradition, 40 is a holy number in that it marks a wilderness season, a time of testing and discernment and choosing what matters most. It is telling to me, and I think others in the room, that a project that benefits tourists and developers takes less than 40 days to address a deficiency, while the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, created by Council over 5 years ago to address a deficiency in housing for city residents, has been languishing in the wilderness for 1,764 days. 1,764 days without the funding the law requires it to receive. When wealthy tourists want beds, we move, and we move quickly. When vulnerable neighbors need homes to sleep in, we wait, and we wait, and we wait. I know governing is complex, and I believe all on this council care about every single constituent in the city of Richmond. I believe that. We are asking you to show it. Commit to fully funding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to ensure that those in the greatest need have the housing they can truly afford. Act with the same resolve and the same expediency for city residents as you do for tourists. Fund the trust fund, follow the law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Hawkins, and I live in the 8th District. I'm asking City Council to follow the law, fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. City Council members, the law is clear. When tax abatements expire, those funds belong to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Failing to follow that law doesn't just break the law, it denies Richmond residents the housing they desperately need. This isn't about numbers on a page, it's about people. We're talking our teachers, bus drivers, grocery clerks, child care provider, sanitation workers, and restaurant employees. These are the people who make our cities run. These are the legs, they are the legs beneath our community table, and yet too many of them can't afford a safe, decent place to live in the very city that they serve. Richmond's strength is its people. Let's honor their work by following the law and putting expiring tax abatements where they belong, in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, so that we can build the homes our families deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beverly Ross. I am a risk team leader for Sacred Heart Catholic Church, South Richmond. I am here tonight asking that you follow the law. 30% of the trust fund dollars must go to people making 30% of the area median income and below. Without this provision, we aren't putting the money towards the people that need it most. The vast majority of people who are struggling to afford housing fall into this income bracket, and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is the only tool we have to specifically meet the need for this group of people. These are our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our friends, and they are getting pushed out of our city. Therefore, we are asking you once again to show your true support of our city by ensuring that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund includes those who need it most. Do the right thing now. Follow the law. 30% for 30% AMI and below. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Martha Harper, and I'm a risk member from Holy Rosary Catholic Church in Church Hill. When we talk about the need for affordable housing, it is important to understand the statistics laid out for us by Mr. Wegbright and others. But behind every number is a person. That's why RISC holds house meetings every fall to listen to how this crisis is hurting our friends, families, and neighbors. We held 5 of them at Holy Rosary. Here are some of the stories that people shared. One person shared, "I have a brother with limited income. His housing costs take up to 70% of his monthly income." Another said, "My daughter lives with me because she cannot afford even a studio apartment." Another, "I don't have enough money to make it to the end of the month. I cannot afford my rent." And another, "My niece is trying to find housing. She's a single parent and is living in hotels." Another said, "I lost my housing last year and had to move in with my family. I can't even afford to rent a room." And then someone else explained, "My brother has lived with me for the last 12 years. He's on Social Security and there's no way he could afford to live on his own." And still another said, "I have to move to Hopewell to afford a home." Another lamented, "I volunteer at a local elementary school and a child came in tears one day saying that she'd be leaving because her family was being evicted. She was in 2nd grade. Again, these stories represent thousands. We are in crisis. Council members, it shouldn't be this way, and it doesn't have to be this way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of City Council. My name is Ralph Hodge. I'm the pastor of Second Baptist Church, South Richmond on Broad Rock Boulevard, and I'm also the vice president of RISC, Richmonders Involved to Strengthen Our Communities. RISC has stood before this council for over a decade, advocating for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And I stand before you tonight to encourage you to do all that you can to make housing more affordable in Richmond, and especially more affordable for those making 30% of the average median income or less. It is those making 30% or lower of the average median income that need housing the most. So we hope that you'll vote for that $2 million to be placed into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And we charge this council to follow the law and ensure that in the future, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is funded fully by the expiring tax abatements and the funds from the sale of the tax delinquent properties, because that is the law. The dedicated streams of revenue from those 2 sources will substantially increase the funds available to create and sustain affordable housing in the city. We also request that the council move to help those making 30% or less of the average median income as swiftly as this council moved to fund luxury hotels in Scott's Addition.
Thank you.
Madam President, members of City Council, my name is Charles Willis, President of the Richmond Highway Neighborhood Civic Association. I'm not coming to talk to you about risk. I'm coming to talk to you about another type of opportunity for our housing crisis. This administration, along with former administration, heard the cries of the citizens of Richmond, talked about housing crisis, declared Richmond as a housing crisis. Tonight you have heard from many members of RISC, and you're going to hear from some more that's standing behind me. My concern today is the developers. Because once you get the money, we have to have developers that listens to the community, listen to the needs of the community. I want to share with you today that I stand before you to ask you to support item number 19. Item number 19 is affordable housing that we consider on the 8th District, in the 8th District on the south side of Richmond, off of Walmsley. There's a developer by the name of Links that are here today, their representatives are here. But let me share with you a little bit about Links. On a week or so ago, Links also opened up affordable housing in the 8th District. There was once 15 years of an elementary school that was dilapidated. We had drugs in that community. We had prostitution going on in that building and couldn't do nothing with it. It was debated, it was deeded over to the city. The city, along with our councilwoman, Ms. Trammell, said that we needed to have affordable housing in that community. With that, we got together with the developers. We met with the developers. We talked with the developers. We told them we want a pool. We want trees to stay there. We want a neighborhood. We want a community room. We want a weight room. We want all of these amenities in this community. They heard our cries. Today, last week, the mayor, a week ago, the mayor, along with our councilwoman and other council members came, and we had a ribbon cutting, and those affordable houses are now there. People are living there. That's the kind of developers we want to see. So tonight, you have a paper before you, item number 19, that we ask that you would continue to support links, not only with this particular project, but other projects, as Mr. John Gregory and his team comes together, that sits down and meets with the community and talks about the things that they want. Noon Ingram, and I'm also, there's another Noon, I can't remember the name. I know she's gonna get me when it's over, Councilwoman Nicole Jones, because it's right in her district, in the 9th district, that community is there also. Those are the kind of communities
You have
we
30
want.
seconds.
Not just affordable housing, but housing that's affordable. We need developers that listen to the community. Please vote for item number 19.
Thank you.
Madam President, members of the council, my name is Michael Croak. I am the owner of Shanks Towing South. I've been in this business a very long time, and I've been called all kinds of names, but I've never been called a dark Sith Lord, so I can now scratch that off my list. I am here to speak in favor of item number 9. I'm here to speak in favor of item number 9 on this agenda. 15 years ago, the rate for private property towing in Richmond was $125. In 2017, we got a $10 increase to $135. My expenses have significantly increased in those years. This amount that we're asking for, requesting, is just to keep us in line and competitive with the rest of the state. Thank you for listening to me. I brought a fraction of my staff that I employ here with me. They're going to speak with more brevity than me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President and council members, my name is Zach White. I'm Operations Manager of Shanks Towing South. In the last 8 years, the fuel costs alone have quadrupled. It costs $5 to travel 7 miles in the tow truck empty. I support item number 9.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bernard Reeves. I work at Shanks Towing South. I am a driver. I'm just here to show my support for item number 9 tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miriam Michaels. I work for Shanks Towing South Administrative. This rate increase would greatly assist our company with employee compensation packages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the City Council. My name is Brad Perome. I'm employed and work for Shanks Towing South. I urge you to vote in support of the amendment of City Code 27-302. My support granted to this amendment, it will allow many families that go unnoticed or unthought of when one brings this amendment and associated towing business to mind to continue to live and improve their futures. This amendment will benefit the men and women that came before me and those who come after me that work hard around the clock to provide for themselves and their families. I thank you for your time and urge you to vote in support of amendment to City Code 27-302. Good evening.
Sir, can you please restate your last name?
Brad Perone, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Council.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Robin Clark. I work for Shanks Towing South, and I'm a driver. And I am for this rate increase. Like, it would help me a great deal with my cost of living. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Kennedy, and I'm in support of it too. I'm a driver as well with Shanks Towing South.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Parker O'Keefe, an employee of Shanks Towing South. I'm here to urge you to vote in favor of item number 9. If this amendment is not passed, then the men and women of private towing companies throughout Richmond will not be able to keep their heads above water financially for the foreseeable future. These are working class men and women who are depending upon you to make sure that the local ordinances that govern private towing keep up with inflation so that these citizens can keep food on their tables. Please do the right thing and vote yes on this amendment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam City Clerk. My name is Raheem Richardson, and I'm here to represent On Time Towing and in support of ordinance number 9, simply because the high price of gas, diesel, and to be able to properly tow cars from private properties, not from the streets, we do private properties. So these cars are basically illegally parked. And it's just the high cost of living, the high cost of gas, diesel, and everything that the prices has gotten lower instead of higher. So we just want to be competitive with the state and the counties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, President and council members. I'm Joey Newberger with On Time Towing here in Richmond. About 3 years ago, there was a study put on by the state and the SEC trying to come up with what the cost of a trespass tow should be. So here we are, almost 8 years later. The professionals think the price should increase. They've done all the paperwork, all the studying and everything to it. The cost of our insurance, the cost of our repairs, the cost of new equipment, safety equipment, even the cost of the real estate to operate in the city, just rent alone, for the right zoning, everything has gone up except for our price hasn't. And like I said, the state put the money in, figured out through professionals what the price should be, and it is adjusted for the city as the locality has the right to do, and they should do. But I am for this bill, and I hope you guys are too.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jana Hobbs. I'm a resident of the city of Richmond in District 2 and a member of New Virginia Majority, and I'm speaking in favor of item number 10, ordinance 2025-225. Cautiously optimistic about this ordinance because of the fact that in the last 3 to maybe 4 years, there's about $22 million that's missing from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that was supposed to be from tax abatements. So we need to make sure that we're following the ordinance that this council passed into law and putting this $2 million into into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and not using it for other purposes, such as, while my heart bleeds for the gentleman who was released from prison, who was wrongfully convicted, why did we use funding from this fund to pay him? Why didn't it come from elsewhere in the city's budget? We need homes that we can live in, places where we can call home. I'm paying 50% of my household budget between me and my partner to live where we live at. If my grandson does in fact move out at the end of this month, I don't know how we're gonna pay out the rest of our lease. So this is super important. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen according to the ordinance, according to the law. The money needs to go where it's supposed to go, and it needs to stay there. So I would really love to give it my full support, but I am cautiously optimistic about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Casey Miller. I'm a renter and resident of the 7th District and a member of New Virginia Majority. I'm speaking in tonight of support of Item 10, Ordinance 2025-255. First of all, it's frustrating to have to speak in support of something that should be legally followed from the start. We also can't ignore how previous situations have caused the depletion of these crucial funds. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund was to have an additional $6 million. This money was instead diverted to pay to the restitution of the wrongful incarceration of Mr. Marvin Grimm. I want to be clear, Mr. Grimm absolutely deserves that compensation and more for the trauma he endured at the hands of the Richmond Police Department and the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. However, those payments should never have come from the funds that were legally dedicated to affordable housing. That fund must never be raided again moving forward. The individuals and institutions responsible for the injustice that Mr. Grimm's received should have been held accountable. I urge this council to commit to protecting our affordable housing resources with the same urgency and determination that so often goes towards funding luxury hotels and high-rent development projects. Our city's residents deserve nothing less. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Teray Jackson, and I'm for item number 9. I know a lot of people talk about they don't like towing around the area, but remember, this is private property. These are for the residents who live there. They will not get towed. These are for the other people who come and visit, the friends, the boyfriends, the girlfriends, the spouses who don't belong there, and the residents who do live there have to suffer and have to find street parking or maybe no parking at all, maybe have to park blocks away when they should have the ability to park in their parking lot. So I am for this bill, and I hope you do pass it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, at this point, that will conclude the public hearing on the consent agenda. Bring it back to the body for any comment discussion. Councilmember Robertson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to express my appreciation to all of you who have come down to speak to the items on the council agenda this evening. Especially want to thank our supporters for affordable housing in the city of Richmond. We've got a lot of work to do. We've had a lot of work to do. And I want to thank you for your consistency and working with us to address the needs of affordable housing. Promises have been made, and we expect promises to be kept. And I can assure you, as one who has spoken and worked very diligently for affordable housing, that my dedication and commitment to that objective is consistently the same, and I expect great things will be coming forward within the next 30 days. So I encourage you to stay in touch. And as we move forward, I want to also encourage you to bring forth recommendations of options and different ways that we should be looking at affordable housing. The city faces a tremendous crisis for many people, for many of our own employees and what they are earning on an annual basis. So we're quite aware of the problem. Finding a solution and making sure that we live up to the solution is the obligation and commitment that we have made, and we expect you to continue to remind us and to make sure that we accomplish that. And I just want to say that the administration is 100% supportive of affordable housing, and I also know that they're working very diligently to look at ways that we can adequately do what we have promised that we will do at the level of funding that we have promised that we would do to continue to do affordable housing in the city of Richmond. I want to also thank all of you for your efforts to continue to support what is being done in the city and for the great works that you all are doing as citizens to expand and improve the quality of living that we have in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you everyone who took time on a Monday evening to show up. You know, I think that, I don't know about you all, but I mean, I celebrated on Tuesday. I think that Tuesday was a moment where working class citizens in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City have said, we can't wait anymore. We have to address what's happened to our country with income inequality, and really nothing signifies that more than what's happened in terms of housing affordability in our country and in the city. I appreciate you all for showing up, and as I understand it, there are efforts being done by my office, and I know other council members, I believe administration, are looking at different ways to try to address the issue at hand. We may not agree on the method, but we all agree on the problem, and I am encouraged that that steps will be taken. I also wanted to highlight the paper Councilmember Lynch wrote in terms of, or mentioned in terms of looking to see that the vehicles that we have to address these problems are actually solving the problem. You know, I have a paper in my district, Bellevue Gardens. It's an affordable housing project. I mean, we pass a lot of things that say affordable housing on them, but it's really still unclear how these things are helping the problem, and it's critical that we understand that we have more details, because I'm not one to want to throw around words around and then suggest that, you know, these are solving things unless I know for a fact that they are. So, so looking at, you know, performance grants and how they're working in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and how it's working to see that it is addressing issues across the range of income levels, I think is really critical, and thank you for pulling that together. I also wanted to note appreciation for item number 7 on our list regarding the property at 1407 East Carey Street. I think it's rather poignant that we're reopening Pappy's on the day that the Supreme Court chose to not revisit a topic which has been taken care of, and we're all stronger for it. So glad to see that one pass. And then lastly, I didn't expect to chat about towing today, but I did want to express if there is interest amongst the body to perhaps continue this item. I would certainly appreciate a presentation from the administration to see and understand how they got to that dollar amount, and see, you know, how just to have a better understanding of that. I don't doubt that it's long overdue to see some type of increase there, but certainly open to furthering discussion if there is any interest in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment at this point? Councilmember Trammell.
Yeah, Madam President, I would like to thank everyone that came down here tonight to speak. I know that my colleague has said that we're going to get reports too in reference to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, where the money's going, so we all will know and realize that there should be more money put into that trust fund. Also, I want to thank the ones that came down here tonight to speak in reference to the increase into the towing, because you heard all of them come here that said that, hey, we're struggling too. Do we want to see them homeless? They're working every day too. They're trying to keep, food on the table, and we heard them. We heard them some of them were so nervous, but I just want to say thank y'all for coming here, because I know I've spoken to so many towing companies that tow for the private companies or private places, and they said that they get fussed at when they come there, but they're doing their job. Everything is posted out there. No parking, you will be towed. No parking all the way around. We've made sure that everything is posted, so you can't say it wasn't or you didn't see it. So I would ask my colleagues to please pass this paper, because like we just said, we don't want to see any more people homeless. We don't want to see them going towards the trust fund for more money, or to put food on their table, or to keep a roof, or keep them in their apartments so they can have a place to live with themselves and their families and their children. And I do know that some of them have taken in some of their family members because they had nowhere to go. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. With that, if we have no further comment, I'd just like to echo my colleagues' sentiment. Thank you all for coming down to speak to provide public comment in general, but also to speak to the items on the consent agenda. We hear you. Affordable housing is a priority for this council and this administration. Do we need to do more? Yes. Will we do more? Yes. But it is and it will continue to be a collaborative effort. And so with that, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask that you call the question.
Council is voting on tonight's consent agenda as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
President Newbill?
Aye.
Those papers have been adopted.
Thank you. And again, thank you everyone who came down to speak to the items on the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, let's move on to the regular agenda.
The regular agenda item for this evening is item number 31, ordinance number 2025-161, and that's to amend city code for the purpose of establishing a residential rental inspection program. That paper is before council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I am going to ask the administration if there is a desire as the patron of the paper to come forward. Mr. Bonk, I'm sorry, I was looking that way expecting someone to, thought it was going to be someone else speaking, so welcome. As the primary patron, and certainly we have other patrons, and if they're desirous of speaking, they can as well.
Sure. Kevin J. Bonk, Director of Planning and Development Review. The paper before you tonight would have the city establish a residential rental inspection program. This would allow us, under the auspices of the building code and the Commissioner of Buildings, to do proactive inspections of rental units within the city. It allows for periodic inspections, and if violations are found, for follow-up inspections until those violations are created. What happens if the legislation passes tonight? We will have a program, but additional actions will need to follow before we actually start doing inspections. Council will still need to create a district or districts in which we could perform the inspections. In there, the paper talks about potential criteria or ways of defining blight. Those include the number of previous code violations, calls for service, police calls, but also, I think, importantly, the number of tenants that have petitioned for the commissioner to come in and inspect their facility. In the meantime, PDR will also be working on a standard operating procedure in terms of looking at how we would conduct such inspections, the resources that would be needed, and I think that would be hopefully an interactive dialogue with the council in terms of just understanding if council has a desire to establish a district, just how large it would be, how many units would be involved, to allow us at administration in terms of coming up with a program and expectation in terms of both resources and personnel of how we could effectively conduct those inspections. But administration is supportive of passing this paper and would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Bonk. There may be some later when we come back from public hearing, but appreciate the comments. At this time, we'll proceed with the public hearing on the paper. Do we have persons present in the audience desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper? If you would come forward. Okay. And Madam Clerk, we don't have anyone online, correct?
Not to speak in opposition of this ordinance.
Okay. Thank you. Are there persons present desirous of speaking in favor of the paper? If you would line up in the middle aisle.
Hello, my name is Gwen Otwell. I'm a 6th District resident, and I'm here representing Richmond for All in asking the Council to vote yes on the proposed rental inspection program. For any member of Council who has ever committed to addressing issues of displacement in your district, we urge you to follow through on that promise today and vote yes on this program. We cannot have a serious conversation about addressing displacement without also discussing the safety of the buildings Richmond residents occupy, or the integrity of landlords who we allow to do business in this city. Safer homes are homes that residents can stay in long term. If we can guarantee safe rental properties, Richmond residents can set down or maintain roots in their community, children can stay in one school and achieve greater academic success, and Richmond residents can sleep easier at night. Weeding out slumlords helps the whole community, whether you're a renter or you own your home. Allowing slumlords to shirk their basic responsibilities affects everyone. Building codes, when enforced, save lives. The city has all the information it needs to identify repeat building code violators. No one should ever learn after a catastrophic fire that the city had all the information and authority needed to prevent that fire. Given this information, anything less than decisive action would be unconscionable. As a member of an organization that advocates for affordable housing and as a 6th District resident, I hear a lot about the power of private industry to address Richmond's housing supply issues. I would like to hear more about how our elected officials will ensure that the housing provided is the kind that any of us would want for ourselves or our families. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Danny Smith, and I am a renter living in the 7th District. I am here tonight to express my support for implementing a proactive rental inspection program in the City of Richmond. I think everyone here can agree, especially after tonight, that our homes are one of the most important parts of our lives because home is more than where we sleep at night. It's also where we create memories, have important conversations, and share meals with loved ones. Ideally, it's where we feel safe. When I was a 3rd grader, my family was living in rental housing on a military base, and I was playing in my room after school one day when I discovered a strange black substance on the wall behind my stuffed animals. It turned out to be a very toxic variety of black mold that affected most of the units in our complex. This explained the bloody noses and violent coughing fits that had plagued my family and many of the children on our block for months. The neighborhood was condemned almost overnight. We lost all of our belongings that couldn't be sanitized, including my stuffed animals. But more critically, my family also lost the place that we called home. I'm telling you this story because I believe that this is just one example of how a proactive rental inspection ordinance can be a key part of a municipality's toolbox. What if the private company that managed our base housing had been required to complete an inspection before renting to us? Perhaps a code inspector would have seen some of the warning signs that moisture and toxins were accumulating in the walls. Maybe the landlord would have fixed these issues before they got past the point of being fixable. What if we could actually save time, money, and city resources? And far more importantly, what if we could prevent families from having a damaging experience like that in the first place? I haven't yet mentioned that this is also my day job. I've been working in housing for over 7 years now. I have professional experience in public policy, research, community outreach, and formerly as the City of Albany's Housing Services Advocate. I've seen firsthand the impacts that a proactive rental inspection ordinance can have on a city's most vulnerable tenants. If my testimony tonight sounds familiar to you, it's because I've been reaching out to council unsuccessfully regarding this matter on several occasions dating back to this summer. I will be emailing you once more again tonight. And as always, I am more than happy to answer any questions or provide information to the best of my ability as this proposal moves through the legislative process. In conclusion, I would ask you to keep the proposed rental inspection ordinance in mind, as it has the potential to make our housing stock so much safer for the tenant families and renters like me and my friends who call these units home. Thank you for your time and your service to the citizens of Richmond.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jana Hobbs. I am a resident of the city of Richmond in the 2nd District and a member of New Virginia Majority. And I just want to tell you a story tonight where it regards item 31. So in 2008, when my fiance and I finally got our lives back on track and recovered from our addictions and were living in a room in a friend's home for a year, and we first got our apartment in what was then Chamberlain Gardens. It was like a new freedom was leashed on us, and it was great, and I loved living there. And I built community, and I knew all of my neighbors, and I was becoming productive and feeling successful and really turning over a new leaf in my life. And then the problems started with the mold and the bugs and the mice and the roaches and the spiders and the broken trees and broken windows and evidence of decades of roach infestation with really no relief or responsibility. Because every time that we went to the city for help, our landlord would change the name of the company and abate their responsibility by not being that company anymore, even though it was the same folks owning it. And so we moved. We moved to the 3204 Fendall Avenue, where our landlord took his wife's childhood home and turned it into a duplex and neglected it and didn't remove the asbestos and didn't paint it and didn't upkeep it or repair the mold or the leaky ceiling that ruined my mother-in-law's TV while she was dying from cancer because it rained in her room every time that it rained or every time that the snow melted in the spring. And so we moved back to Chamberlain Gardens, which had a brand new fancy name, Premier Gardens. Ooh, like it's Premier, it's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be wonderful, but it wasn't. It was just more of the same and worse. And more of the name changing and averting responsibility. And we went to the city inspector's office and asked for help, and they came and did an inspection. And then a few months later, when we were facing possibly getting kicked out because we complained too much,
You have 30 seconds.
I went back to the city inspector's office, and Walter Jackson told me they no longer had the photographs of my inspection, and so there was nothing he could do to help me. And that's continued to be the same story, where I built community, where I felt safe, where I felt free, where I became productive, where I started to vote and be active in my community and care about all of these people that I didn't get cared about. We need to be cared about.
Thank you.
Hey, oh, hey, what's up? I'm Sleeves. I live in Catherine Jordan's place, and I'm here, for the same stuff. I moved to Richmond a long time ago now. Excuse me. I've used remedy repair and tenants assertion to put my rent in escrow and hung out with my landlord in court. And, you know, the laws are brutal out here in Virginia. The eviction stuff is crazy, and it'd be great to have another tool in the toolbox, a more like mediation type thing. But I've also grew up a realtor. So I've dug out ditches in the winter and unfrozen, you know, pipes and stuff and lit pilot lights at midnight and stuff. It's not that hard to be a landlord. It's very profitable. It ain't a cakewalk, but it can be done, especially as I understand it, this really only affects landlords who own a bunch of stuff. So I'd be really grateful to have another tool in the toolbox. the rental inspection because the remedy repair is like cool, but it's kind of like weird to use. You really got to know how to write a letter and really do some pretty serious Googling for that one. And then tenants assertion and rent escrow is pretty much terrifying and confrontational. So it'd be cool to have something in the middle. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sir, could you come back and state your name for the record, please?
Oh, I'm Sleeves. Sleeves Barnes and Funks. I have trouble figuring out who I'm talking to, but thank you.
Sleeves.
Like a shirt. Sleeves. Sven, no. Oh, Sven's gone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jaden White. I am a resident living around the Broad area here at school. I have been a person who has lived in quite a few areas in my life, and I can say for certain that housing is a very important thing to keep. You know, it's a very important thing to keep proper. I have lived in a lot. Roaches, peeling floorboards, small, cramped spaces, and I can confirm that these things are not just something that should be taken lightly. Living in such conditions is very stressful, for one. It is very bad morale for everyone living there, as someone who has lived in a big family. And as well as that, it exasperates many of the problems that you may be already facing. I don't find it fair that many tenants are forced to work very hard in order to get the housing that they have, while landlords can casually charge them high prices for what is essentially nothing, because they know that if they do not pay those prices, then they will be out on the streets. What I am asking today is that you guys consider the rental inspection program, because that will help prevent people from living out in conditions that are only slightly above living on the streets. I apologize that I'm a bit, sloppy. This is really my first time coming up here, and while I am partial, and a lot of this is just something that does come second nature as someone who has had a pretty hard growing up, from all the moving that he has done and all the things that he has endured, as well as other people that I hear about on a regular basis. Richmond is a very hard area to move into and to live in, so there's no reason why we have to add extra difficulty from housing that should be theoretically support people's living, but does not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, City Council. I'm Casey Miller, a renter and resident of the 7th District and a member of New Virginia Majority, speaking in support of this ordinance. On top of affordable housing, we have to ensure that people are living in safe and dignified homes. Please, 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 please pass this ordinance. It's a tool that'll help us to fight against these predatory slumlords offering subpar living standards across the districts. I and so many others I know have lived in these rat and roach infested places to the point where you will wake up with a roach trying to crawl into your mouth. It's not a fun experience. I've also dealt with electrical wires being hung over in like kitchen areas, as well as within the shower areas and things. It's just, not only is it unsanitary, it's extremely unsafe. And don't get me started on the black mold issues that I've seen also. All I'm asking is that you help us to hold these landlords accountable. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Penny Page. I'm a member of Richmond DSA, and I'm not speaking on behalf of my employer, but I do want to share with you tonight that I am employed in my day job at a rent assistance program. I inspect rental units for the federal government, state government, and local government. And the conditions I've seen apartments being rented in are in Richmond City are really terrible. It's a disaster. There's a lot of units that are just in horrible shape with rotting floorboards. Somebody could break an arm or a leg, mold, and things that cause people respiratory illnesses. People get sick for the rest of their lives living in these units. And they're trapped in them, really. There's no real good legal recourse. So these conditions cause a lot of displacement because people flee. They don't have any real legal recourse, which is evident in that last year there were less than 150 instances in Richmond of a tenant successfully using tenant assertion against their landlord, but there were 20,000 evictions in Richmond. So, I mean, you have 20,000 cases in which the landlord is able to use the proper legal channel against their tenant, but less than 150 in which the tenant is able to use the proper legal channel against their landlord. So there's really just not enough to balance the scales in favor of the tenants who are living in these terrible conditions in Richmond. So I urge you to pass this rental inspection program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Bob Becker. I'm with the Richmond Henrico Health District. Back in September, we provided council members with a written summary of our review of the relevant evidence base related to the proposed ordinance. I brought copies for you if you need them. Want to summarize real briefly what we include in that letter. In that letter, we talked about several issues where this ordinance can have a positive impact on public health. We find, after review of the evidence base, that there is clear evidence for a positive impact on public health and health equity in our city as a result of this proposal. We spoke about several in the letter. I want to focus on the easiest one to talk about, which is lead poisoning. Lead poisoning, of course, impacts young children, hinders their development. Almost all cases in Richmond of lead poisoning come from lead paint. Well-maintained lead paint does not cause lead poisoning. It has to get into the child's body. So when we do rental inspections, we inspect paint, we repair paint, we fix the paint that potentially can cause lead poisoning. So this ordinance can prevent lead poisoning from happening. So we are very supportive of that. The same principle applies with a lot of other issues. But again, we find clear evidence for a positive impact to public health from this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, members of City Council. My name is Gustavo Espinosa. I'm a Richmond renter in the 2nd District and a tenant organizer with the Legal Aid Justice Center. Legal Aid Justice Center is a member of the Richmond Housing Justice Collective, and we strongly support the residential rental inspection program. And I'd like to share a little bit more about why. One of the projects I'm working on is in Chesterfield, where we've seen the painful and violent result of decades of deferred code enforcement. Code enforcement works when it is proactive and when it is at the direction and centering renters. And so my plea today is not just about passing the ordinance, but also about the process by which this is implemented. We've heard concerns come up about, is this going to displace people? You've heard from renters themselves and tenant organizers who are not going to propose and push for a policy that is going to displace us, right? As we're trying to implement this, we are calling on you all to include us as active stakeholders. You heard from somebody who has expertise implementing a policy just like this and has felt ignored. And so my plea is, again, as this is being implemented, these tenant organizers don't want to hear about amendments after the fact as they're being worked out in back channel rooms. They should be considered stakeholders with expertise, and they should be asked, what do you think we should be doing as we're making this happen? We're not going to let this be implemented poorly. We want to protect us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Thomas King. I am the chair of the Richmond chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. I also work in building codes enforcement. I have my building commissioner certification. I spent the last few weeks and months researching these districts and speaking with my colleagues in localities that have adopted them. These are very common across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Where they are adopted, they're popular. They give both inspectors and renters peace of mind, and they provably reduce the severity of building maintenance deterioration and they overall increase the health and welfare of the predominantly working class residents who live within them. A few weeks ago, I spoke with a city councilor from Williamsburg, where they've had one of these districts for 30 years. She reported to me that the district has measurably reduced building deterioration in the predominantly student living areas where they drew their districts. Similarly, Roanoke has had one of these districts for about 30 years. Virginia Beach has had one of these rental districts for quite some time, and they're very commonplace across Northern Virginia. I'm really just here to speak to how normal and common these things are. They're a very basic part of the building code because people who work in code enforcement understand the power imbalance, as other tenant advocates behind me have spoken about already, between landlords and renters. It is very difficult for renters to address building code maintenance issues when their landlord can evict them with no recourse or protection against repercussions for that. There is evidence from the people I've spoken to in my community, in the building code enforcement community, and the legislators where these districts exist, that these districts have reduced displacement in the areas where they have been drawn. It makes kind of sense if you address building maintenance as it comes up instead of deferring it for years and years and years. You don't end up having to condemn buildings and having to evict people en masse when you declare whole regions of the city blighted, as this city did some decades ago. I urge you to vote in favor of this ordinance. It's a very commonplace thing across the Commonwealth and the country for that matter, and it's a very normal thing to do, and it will help to level the playing field between tenants and their landlords. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Kind of want to take a deep breath. It's taken us a long time to get here. My name is Rachel Hefner. I've had the honor to organize alongside the most amazing and dedicated tenants of Richmond for the past nearly 5 years. And I want to take a moment of reflection to honor those tenants who fought incessantly over the past 3 years for this program, which again is not a progressive program, it's not a radical program, it's commonplace. Some of them had roofs came in, fires start because of electrical issues, and had children who quickly developed asthma after being born. Many were displaced waiting for this program to get to this day. And I grieve with those tenants and our movement, the Richmond Housing Justice Collective, that formed around this particular program. Hold your stories with us and also your power with us. And so, though we are 3 years in the making, we are excited to be here. We're excited to vote in favor. I do wish this would have been on the consent agenda so that we all would be in agreement that this is an amazing program to move forward. But I do hope that you all support this and this really amazing tenant-led program that we want to see happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. It's me again, Amori Speed. I just came to say that I agree with what my colleagues in our community have said before, that this is a proactive measure, and we are in the business of keeping our families and communities together and tenants housed, right? So it's going to take some offensive measures as in proactive measures as well to prevent our people from getting displaced. And as I was mentioned before, that we are very, very open to being in the room in those conversations as to, getting into the weeds of the details of the program. Like Gustav had said, we are not going to put anything in forward that will, harm ourselves or the tenants that we are working with. So please vote yes, vote it through, and then we can work out the details as it comes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is Anna Mokwitz, and I'm speaking in favor of the residential rental inspection program. Again, this is an absolute necessity. I don't know if people heard about the celebrity who died as a result of a mice infestation in her home. Hantavirus is a disease that about 10% of deer mice carry now with deforestation. More are moving into areas like Richmond and Henrico, and hantavirus has about a 40% death rate. So when landlords don't follow the policy in place in law, then they're actually endangering people's lives. It's not just a nuisance. So this is really necessary for the protection of people's lives. And I'd like to add that if landlords are following the law, they don't need to worry about the rental inspection program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, buenas noches a todos los concejales y a los presentes en la sala. Mi nombre es Rosemary Castillo, soy miembro de la nueva mayoría de Virginia. Soy una madre soltera que vive con mi hijo de 14 años. Yo estoy un poco mal de salud, de neumonía y de mis pulmones, y soy miembro del Distrito 9. Y vivo en los Southwood Apartments.
Good afternoon to the council members and everyone present in the room. My name is Rosemary Castillo, and I am a member of the New Virginia Majority. I am a single mother, and I live with my 14-year-old son. I live with pneumonia and lung problems. I am also a resident of the Southwood Apartments in District 9.
Yo soy una de las inquilinos de Southwood Apartments. Soy una de las más de miles de personas que están siendo impactadas por las malas condiciones de nuestras viviendas debido a la falta de mantenimiento apropiado.
I am one of the 1,000 people who are being impacted by the poor conditions of the housings due to the lack of proper maintenance.
Yo vivo en mi apartamento hace 7 años y batallamos mucho con moho, ratones y cucarachas.
I have lived in my apartment for 7 years, and we struggle with mold, mice, cockroaches, leaks, and broken stove.
Yo tengo mi estufa dañada por los ratones y no puedo usar el horno porque apesta a orina de los ratones. Es insoportable el mal olor.
Because of the mice, I cannot use the oven because it smells like mouse urine. The bad odor is unbearable.
Ya lo he reportado muchas veces y no hacen nada al respecto. Hasta hablé con la manager y no pudo solucionar nada. No tiene empatía y me dijo que era mantenimiento quien se encargaba de eso.
I have reported this many times, and they do nothing about it. Even the manager refused to solve anything. She told me without empathy that maintenance would handle it.
A mi hijo una rata le creó una fobia, ya que un día la rata se metió entre las cobijas de la cama. No era pequeña, era grande, parecía un gato bebé. Esos roedores portan muchas enfermedades. Ahora él no sale a la cocina en la noche porque de pronto ellas salen y él se asusta.
A rat caused my son to develop a phobia because one day it got into the bed sheets. It wasn't small, it looked like a baby cat. These rodents carry many diseases. Now he won't go into the kitchen at night because the rats come out and he gets scared.
No creo que nadie de ustedes quieran vivir en esas condiciones. No es fácil dejar algo de comida encima de la estufa y al regresar ver que las ratas y las cucarachas hasta las comieron.
I don't believe any of you would like to live in those conditions. It's not easy to leave food on top of the stove, come back, and see the rats and cockroaches have already eaten it.
Y aún así tienen el descaro de subirnos hasta $300 más de renta. Yo he estado a punto de ser desalojada 3 veces por no estar al día con la renta, ya que le aumenta mucho pero ellos no hacen bien su parte de mantenimiento. Por eso estoy alzando la voz en nombre de los miles de inquilinos en mi comunidad. Por favor, apoyen este programa de inspecciones de alquiler. Ellos abusan mucho porque todos tenemos miedo a represalias, ya que ya es hora que la ciudad nos defienda.
And yet they still have the nerve to raise our rent by $300 more. I have almost been evicted 3 times for not being able to keep up with rent, but they are not held accountable to maintaining the property. This is why I'm here, raising my voice on behalf of the thousands of tenants in my community. Please support this rental inspection program. They take advantage of us because we're all afraid of retaliation. It is time for the city to defend us.
Somos muchos los inquilinos en esta situación en mis apartamentos y todos, pues la mayoría somos hispanos y no todos tienen la voluntad o el coraje de venir acá frente a ustedes y presentar los problemas.
There are many of us that are renters in the community that are Hispanic or Latinos. Unfortunately, not many of them have the courage to come in front of you to speak up and to tell you exactly what's going on. This is why I'm here today, to represent and have the voice.
I speak little English, so I try to help sometimes to the people in my community, and when they are asking for help, for call to the minors, because sometimes there is no people speak English in the office. So I know, I'm sorry.
No, continue and complete your comment, please.
I help some people sometimes in my community, and I see the condition of the apartments. Like example, one time, the bathtub was overflowing, ¿se dice? Estaba rebalsada, y el toilet también.
The bathtub was overflowing as well as the toilet.
Y duraron así 3 días para que les fueran a arreglar el problema, entonces por favor ayúdennos.
And they took them 3 days just to come and resolve the problem. So please, we ask you to please help us today.
Thank you for the extra time.
Thank you.
Hola, muy buenas noches al consejo y a las personas que están aquí en esta sala.
Good evening or good afternoon to everyone, the council members and everyone that is here in this room.
Mi nombre es Claudia Arévalo y soy organizadora comunitaria para el capítulo de Justicia Inmigrante en Richmond.
My name is
Claudia Arévalo.
Claudia Arévalo, and I am a representative of the injustices that are occurring here in our community in
Richmond.
The Richmond District.
Como organizadora me enfoco mucho en educar a nuestros inquilinos, a nuestros miembros, para que conozcan que existe un código de mantenimiento en la ciudad, porque cada vez que entramos a una vivienda,
As an organizer, I am able to help our community, our Latino community and Hispanics, to be able to understand that there are rights and that there also a protocol for supporting them when it comes to rental assistance and rental requirements.
encontramos condiciones de moho, sobre todo liqueo, pisos rotos, electrodomésticos dañados.
So we come across a lot of the issues that is mainly mold, appliances that are broken, things that are not up to date.
Y hemos invitado a miembros del Consejo de la Ciudad a hacer visitas a los diferentes complejos.
And we have also invited many members of City Council to come and do visits to the home of those members of the community.
Hace 3 años trabajamos en una campaña fuerte en Southwood porque los problemas, sobre todo en esta comunidad, son muy grandes en mantenimiento.
In fact, 3 years ago, we started a campaign because all the situations that is occurring in Southwood, it's very terrible, horrendous situations, and we ask for your support.
Y nos hemos movido a diferentes complejos encontrando exactamente la misma condición donde nuestros inquilinos viven en condiciones terribles.
And we actually have moved from different apartment complexes within the same community to check, and we see that the issue is with a lot of our members that are renters that are occurring and going through the same issues.
Las familias se enferman y aún así pagan grandes cantidades en sus rentas.
The families, they get sick, and in fact, they still end up paying a large sum amount when it comes to their rent.
Así que les pido que por favor cumplan con el deber de proteger a los inquilinos que viven bajo estas condiciones de mantenimiento terribles.
And please, I ask you to please be able to support our community, especially our renters that live in these type of conditions in these communities.
Porque merecen vivir en viviendas dignas y seguras para sus familias.
Because they deserve to live in right, healthy, safe spaces for themselves and their families.
Y muchas veces a ellos les da temor de llamar al código de mantenimiento por su estatus migratorio o por represalias de la administración.
And many of them are afraid to even call in regarding when it comes to a code establishment to report any issues because of their status when it comes to their legality or afraid of retaliation.
Muchas gracias. Feliz.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi. Good evening, City Council. My name is Josue Castillo. I am a resident of the 6th District. I am also a renter, and I'm also an organizer with New Virginia Majority. And I'm also the child of immigrants who left the city of Richmond for reasons previously mentioned, the abuses of landlords on our communities. We support the rental inspection program because we know that tenant protections are lacking in the city of Richmond. But I want to emphasize that particularly for the immigrant community, there are additional fears that prevent them from exercising their rights. I've had hundreds of conversations with tenants across the city who have fears of calling code enforcement because they fear that their landlord could retaliate by calling ICE, separating them from their families, or they don't feel confident filing a tenant's assertion because that would entail themselves having to present themselves at court and interacting with law enforcement. Our immigrant neighbors are working tirelessly to survive with predatory slumlords that are constantly extracting wealth from them and at the same time intimidating them when they exercise their rights. A residential rental inspection program minimizes the risk that immigrant tenants face for accessing a healthy home, which is the bare minimum that is required by the Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. In a similar vein, a trust policy can also be considered a tenant protection because it empowers all residents with confidence to seek justice in our court system.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Fern Diaz-Castro. I'm in the 3rd District. It is really shocking, but not surprising to hear how hard it is for Richmond citizens to have basic rights. And we can look at how this local level, kind of like the systems that work in the local level kind of mirror what's happening on a national level and international level. Human beings deserve to live in safe houses that won't give them sickness from mold or diseases from rats, just like children and families in Palestine deserve to not be bombed by Israeli missiles that cities like Richmond support. Families deserve to know that their food that is so hard to come by in this time where food costs are up, water's up, electricity is up in terms of cost, won't get eaten by mice or by rodents. That is the bare minimum. Just as much as that, families deserve to not be living in constant fear that their loved ones are going to be taken by ICE. I'm looking around, and that one person here has reached out to me to follow up on our conversation of getting ICE out of Richmond. So, and now I'm hearing that city council members, I'm hearing that families are afraid to even call their landlords because they don't feel the support from the community. They don't feel this from the city that they're going to be backed up if a landlord decides to retaliate by calling ICE. Everything is interconnected. It's really hard to fight for anything that will improve our communities here. And we have the same enemy, right? These landlords that just want to profit off working families. Really remind me of all these surveillance technology people who corporations like Elbit Systems and Palantir that are profiting off the surveillance of our community members. So this is a very clear step to support your local communities in Richmond, and we're hoping to see more support against the genocide in Palestine and against ICE terrorism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Erin Trimmer. I'm a member of Richmond for All. We stand in support with this ordinance, strongly support the residential rental inspection program. It is an ordinance that protects tenants. It keeps families in their homes. It preserves the affordable housing stock that we have in the city. It's a public health ordinance. It affects so many pieces of life, and I really just urge you to vote. Please vote for this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I don't see any folks online, so if that is the case.
Madam President, we did have someone register in advance to
Oh,
participate
okay.
virtually. Her name is Bobby Angelica Morris. However, I do not see her online.
Yeah, not seeing anyone either.
Ms. Morris, if you are online, if you could raise your hand. Madam President, I do not see anyone.
Thank you. With that, the public hearing is concluded. Bring it back to the body for any further discussion, comment. Councilmember Lynch.
Just want to thank all of the folks who came out today and who have been with us for, I was thinking back when I put in the original resolution, I was pregnant with Charlotte, and that was 4 years ago. So it has taken a lot of twists and turns, and it's been quite a journey. And it wasn't just me. Prior to me, I've got to give credit to then Councilmember McQuinn, my predecessor, Councilmember Parker, and then Councilmember Jones, who also carried similar legislation. And then, of course, the council member that brought it home and took up the mantle, Councilmember Jones. It was a lot of work and a lot of time that went into this. And, you know, the administration, we started in the previous mayor's administration. We got it done in this one. So, Ms. Ebert, thank you for sticking with it and hanging in there. And I know you believed in this. I mean, you came from localities where this was commonplace, and you got here and you're like, what's up with the city of Richmond? Why don't we have this, right? She's laughing because she knows it's true. But I mean, the genesis for this, you know, really was as a social worker, you know, seeing the more vulnerable you are as a resident, the easier it is for people to prey upon you. And the largest slumlord in this city is Richmond Public Housing Authority. And we had, you know, senior citizens that were living in our public housing authorities who were living in desecrated conditions, absolutely desecrated conditions, and there was nothing we could do to hold the RHHA accountable for it. It was heartbreaking.
About the new CEO or the previous?
This is previous. This dates way back. Reva, they've been the biggest slum landlord. Yep.
I remember, but I'm just saying.
Yep.
Let's make sure we clear this up. That it's not, I want to clear it up, that it's not Stephen per se, because you're talking about the previous ones before him.
These buildings have been in dilapidated condition for decades.
Okay,
and
so
disinvestment has been happening for decades.
I know, but I'm just saying it goes way back. It just didn't start right now when Stephen Nesmith got here.
Sure.
Okay, so
been
I'm going to let
historic
Ms.
issues.
Lynch complete, and then I'll come to you, Ms. Trammell, for any comment. Okay.
The point is that we'd had no mechanism to A, hold them or any other landlord accountable for that matter, and B, the culture of retaliation that exists for our vulnerable community members, not just in public housing, but in income and rent controlled housing all across the city is very, very real. And for all the reasons that our speaker stated, having a proactive system that leaves the responsibility of safety, health, and welfare to the city and not up to individual residents who are vulnerable for a multitude of things, not just being evicted, but as someone mentioned, ICE. And yes, we want them out of our city. Emphatic yes, we want them out of our city. You know, this is a measure that will help ensure that the city is protecting those vulnerable citizens. So yes, 4 years, long time coming, but really, really grateful that we could get it done tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Trammell, were you making comments? So, is it?
I believe she cleared it
Okay,
up. She said
thank
that
you.
it was not the previous. This goes way back. That is definitely the truth, way back.
Thank you.
Back when we did Hope 6 and all of that.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to thank everyone who came out tonight to support this paper that we have finally got it to where we needed it to be. And I just want to add that, you know, sometimes creation of legislation does take time, but with this in particular, we wanted to be intentional, and we wanted and had to ask the questions and be certain that we were protecting the citizens of Richmond before we actually felt that this paper was ready. So while it dragged out a little bit, I'm happy to see it out of committee. We finally got it to a point where it was like, listen, we're moving it through. But please know that it was intentional in working with the city just to ensure that there were a lot of questions that came up about this paper that had we just passed it 4 years ago, we would be at a different place today because those questions were not answered and they align with everything that we've talked about tonight. Displacement, housing, and not being able, evictions. And so I'm happy that we took the time, that it was necessary to do that. And I say let's keep it moving. And I didn't realize that I wasn't on this paper after all this long period of time. So I'd like to be added to this paper. And just thank you all for staying on us and continuing to push us to be better, to ask the questions, to advocate at a way and level where you feel like we are taking into account everything that is necessary to pass good legislation. But I personally also want to ensure that when we're passing it in collaboration with the administration so that it can be implemented and executed at a level that is not subpar and at a level of excellence that take care of our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Robertson.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. I too want to thank everyone for coming down, add my name as a patron to the paper. I want to also express some of the concerns that I raised from the very beginning with this paper. Not as it relates to the significance and the merits and the need of rental inspection, but to ensure that the execution and the implementation, that the city is ready to do this and to do it adequately, that is properly funded, that we provide the necessary staff in order for this to be carried out, and that we also include the budget that is needed to make sure that it happens. And one of the main concerns that I've had, and I continue to have, and that will be critical to me as it relates to the implementation, is that the tenants' rights are protected. We want to make sure that the inspections are done. We want to ensure that the properties are up to code. The landlords are doing what they are charged with doing, what you pay rent for. But we want to make sure also that the tenant rights are protected in the process. You know, we do not want to see a situation where properties change hands, people move, evictions are increased, there's no additional places that are provided that is affordable, that is quality housing for you to be able to move in. All of those things are critical to me, that when we talk about the execution plan, the actual implementation, that we've done our due diligence to make sure that's in place. I've learned a lot from my initiatives from the very first years of being on City Council. We're putting together the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. You all heard the comments tonight and where we are, where we still have not gotten where we want to be. I want to make sure that I learn my lessons from this initiative and that the implementation strategy, supported with budget and standards and tenant rights, are built into the execution of making this a reality so that what we are asking for become reality for every person who's living in rental housing, okay? And that is the piece that I want to make sure from a legislative perspective that implementation strategy with those components are built in with timelines so that when we adopt this paper tonight, that in addition to that, we are sending a message back to ourselves and to our administration that the implementation plan has to be put together and brought back to this council as well for approval, so that you will have an opportunity to be a part of that process and fully understand how it's going to operate, and that your input is a part of making those critical decisions. So with that, I'm more than pleased to be a part of this legislation and would be added as a patron, and look forward to continue to work with you all as we move forward with the implementation and execution plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, colleagues who have supported this work, as I understand, over some time. And thank you to the community of advocates who I believe have truly spearheaded leadership on this. This has been a meeting about housing, hasn't it? And I think that we can't highlight the reality of having an affordable housing crisis by also recognizing the impact of that. When housing is at a premium, the system of checks and balances doesn't really work, does it? And it creates a reality in which the standards that we're living in simply aren't being met. So thank you. I understand that raising your hand, addressing issues, this is something that has true repercussions. And so I applaud the courage of those advocates who have, and residents who have said this isn't okay. As a body, I think, I know, in my past life, I served on the school board, and I know that as a council member, we often are thinking, how can we support the schools? This is exactly the type of thing we can do to support the schools. Because the reality is that, when a student is living in a house with roaches and is facing potential displacement as a result, or mice or mold, all of those things, there are true impact in the ability for that student to learn. And so I really encourage us to continue to think of that when we're thinking about how can we be helping the schools. So yes, please add me as a patron to this, and in full transparency, I would like to see this, and I've said it before, expanded and to be broader. And from my perspective, the broader this is, I could envision a city in which rental inspections are necessary to have a rental, and that the fees that are collected through widespread rental inspections funds the program in and of itself. Every rental that is in the city should be safe, and so we should advocate for the ability for broad implementation in the city. I do believe there are other municipalities in the state that have broader programs. But look, I'm happy to take a step today. I think this is an important step that we're taking, and I know I can count on the community of advocates to see fit that we continue to see this program through, that we show the results of this program, and push us to grow the program as needed. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gibson. Councilman Breton.
Yeah, I want to thank the advocates, the experts, the tenants, and the tenant organizers who helped get us here. I want to thank the legislators who worked hard to get this over the line, to get all those last amendments in, to make sure that we were going to have full support from everyone so that we can finally achieve this very important and overdue program. Because, as many have said before today, in an affordable housing crisis, there is a power imbalance between the landlords and the renters and the tenants. And so, with a shortage of affordable homes, a landlord has the opportunity to keep their home in substandard conditions, and renters know that, they have nowhere else to go. Or worse, they could be retaliated against and evicted by their landlord. So creating this proactive program allows us to protect those tenants, allows us to protect them from retaliation, and it's really just one of so many programs that I'm glad to see us doing, fighting for anti-rent gouging, fighting for municipally funded housing, fighting for subsidized housing, fighting for proactive rental inspections, all the things we need to do in this critical housing justice juncture. So I'm really grateful to everyone who's worked hard to get us here, and I'm looking forward to us setting this program up.
Thank you. Council Vice President Jordan.
Thank you so much, President Newbill. And yes, thank you to everyone who came out and so eloquently and sincerely spoke to this issue. This is probably one of the best public comments periods I've heard when it comes to really substantive information on a topic of this level of importance. So just kudos to all of you, especially folks who are not usually coming down here. I also want to thank those of you in administration and on council who worked on this. I've been following it on the sidelines, albeit, but I'm pleased to ask to have my name added to it as well. There really are so many important things, I think, that as a council member give you renewed sense of purpose, that what we do in our sacrifices to be public service servants is worth it, and this is one of those papers. So again, I'm just really grateful for everyone who's stuck with us, and I'm proud to support it tonight.
Thank you, Council Vice President Jordan. I would just like to join my colleagues in thanking everyone who came down to speak to this paper this evening. The advocates, as well as the courageous speakers who came down, who were concerned for their well-being, but this was significant enough that they wanted to make sure that they brought voice. And I want to thank Roxana for working with our speakers to make sure that we heard from them substantively. As you heard earlier, there will be more amendments to this paper as it gets further fleshed out in the specifics in terms of districts, et cetera. But I also look forward to hearing your feedback as we proceed in that work. So more to come with that. I am absolutely supportive of the paper. I'd like to be added as a patron and look forward to our continued efforts in this regard. Thank you all. And Madam Clerk, if you would call the question.
Council is now voting on ordinance number 2025-161 as read. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you so very much. The next item, Madam Clerk, if we would take a look at any motions to amend and/or continue.
Yes, before you first is a motion to amend ordinance number 2025-209, which is item number 5 on the agenda, which would amend city code for the purpose of requiring more detailed disclosure forms of members of certain boards and commissions. And the proposed amendment would modify which members of certain boards and commissions are required to file statements of economic interest. Councilmember Gibson, would you make the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-209 to the Monday, December 8th council meeting?
So moved.
Vice President Jordan, would you second that, please?
Second.
Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-209 to the Monday, December 8th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan? Aye. And President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on December 8th. Next before you is a motion to amend ordinance number 2025-211, which would amend city code for the purpose of requiring publication of certain data sets in the open data portal to modify, and the proposed amendment would modify where and how information related to purchase contracts shall be published. Councilmember Abu Bakr, will you please make the motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, December 8th council meeting? So moved. Councilmember Breton, will you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-211 to the December 8th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell? Ms. Abu Bakr?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again at your next council meeting. Next before you is a motion to amend ordinance number 2025-228, which would authorize a special use of 1103 Carlisle Avenue and 1105 Carlisle Avenue for the purpose of up to 4 single-family detached dwellings upon certain terms and conditions. The proposed amendment would modify the plans and the number of off-street parking spaces required for the special use. Councilmember Robertson, would you make a motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, December 8th council meeting?
So moved, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Jones, will you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue the ordinance to the December 8th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abu Bakr?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again at your next meeting. Lastly is a proposed motion before you to amend ordinance number 2025-240, which would amend city code for the purpose of establishing an online Freedom of Information Act library. The proposed amendment would, 1, modify certain definitions and the requirements related to the library notice, and 2, include a reporting requirement. Councilmember Jones, would you make the motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, December 8th council meeting?
So moved.
Councilmember Trammell, will you second that motion, please? Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-240 and continue ordinance number 2025-240 to the December 8th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell? Ms. Abu Bakr?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on December the 8th. And Madam President, that does conclude all the motions for amendment and continuance this evening.
Thank you. I was a little slow going through the list. Okay. So at this point, we will proceed to review and approve the minutes.
The minutes to be approved are from the Monday, October 14th, 2025 informal and formal city council meetings at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. and the Monday, November 3rd, 2025 special meeting at 4 p.m. If there are no corrections or amendments, then the minutes will be approved as presented. Those minutes have been approved.
Thank you. We will proceed with the intro of ordinances and resolutions.
Council members, the list of legislation for introduction this evening consisting of items numbered 5 through 25 has been provided to you, and the legislation on this list is hereby introduced as presented. A copy of the list is currently available for public inspection at the rear of the council chamber. An electronic copy and copies of the listed legislation will be available on the city's website on Wednesday, November 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, we are at the point of sharing reports and announcements. Mr. Councilmember Trammell.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm tired. I'm tired. 7 o'clock's not my time necessarily. I want to say that today was oh my God, it was an exciting day. One of the best days of my life being on City Council. we were able to celebrate Station 21. We did the ribbon cutting, the fire station. That fire station was 80 years old, and they've been waiting and waiting and waiting for years and years. And I know that many, many days, and my colleagues can contest to this, the former mayor and I, we would have so many arguments over we needed a fire station for those firefighters because Station 21 was probably one of the oldest in the city, 80 years old. And it was like rats in there, mold in there, busted pipes, all kinds of stuff. And so we were able to get it, and today we did the big celebration. I want to thank my colleague for being there with me, and yeah, and they really appreciated that too. Also, I want to say that there was another big exciting moment there. Our CAO, Odie Donald, made our fire chief, Jeffrey Siegel, the permanent fire chief. Where'd he go? He left. But anyway, he is now our permanent fire chief. And I know that those firefighters were so grateful, and all of us too, and because I know that he will work with all of us, all 9 of us. Also, we had Saturday, we did a celebration over there at Sidner, help me, Sidner Clay, no, Charlie Sidner Park, over there on March Street, yes. It's the park. It is so beautiful. We've been waiting 7 years for that park. And as Mayor Daniel Vula said that Saturday, this is what we need more. We need more parks for our children. We have a walking trail. We have all kinds of things over there. And like I said, it takes money, it takes time, but we finally got it. Also, I'll let my other colleagues talk about their stuff. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to my colleagues for letting me be a part of y'all's event when y'all do the things with the fire department, police department, and other things. I really, really appreciate that. Also, our meeting is going to be this Thursday, November the 13th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Satellite, 4000 block of Richmond Highway. We're going to have some guest speakers. I don't have my flyer, but I do know Christy's going to be there from Richmond Animal Control. She's going to be there. Also, my goodness, I don't have my flyer. But anyway, it's going to be a good meeting. Come. We got some special guests. Also, this right here is your free smoke alarm. If you call 6461526, these firefighters will come out to your home or to your business, and they'll check your smoke alarm for free. Always remember, your smoke alarm, if you have a working smoke alarm, it will save your life. If you don't have one, it won't work. It won't save your life. If you have any questions, you can call my home at 804-233-7382, or you can call my personal cell at 804-240-5050. And also, I want to just say, I thank all the speakers that came out here tonight and spoke in reference to many things that pertains to keeping them in their homes or keeping them with a roof over their head. Also, we know that things are really going to probably get tight, probably in 2026. We don't know exactly how our budget's going to be. We do know that a lot of things are probably going to happen. Some changes are going to take place. And I just want to thank my colleagues for voting for the towing companies to get an increase, because we heard them come here just like others have tonight, decrying that they did not, they don't want to be homeless, and they want to keep their jobs and keep the doors open so they can have a roof over their head and take in their family members when it needs to be. Also, with just one thing with this rental inspection that we just passed tonight, I'd like to know, where in the hell are the insurance companies? Where in the hell are they? How come they don't do inspections? How come they don't come out there? And I have a reason to ask these questions. I have a reason to ask these questions. If you can come after one, why not everybody? Well, you pick certain ones that you go after to inspect their properties. And I appreciate what you said, because to me, no one should live in the conditions that they're living in. We even heard from people that came down from the 1st District and said that they're living in those kind of conditions. But I don't understand, how did these inspections get passed with these apartments? Don't you have to have insurance? Don't they have to have insurance? Don't they do their own inspections? Don't they fly over with the drone or whatever and come and look at the properties, their backyard, their front yard, their porch? I'd like to have some answers to that. And also with code enforcement. We know we don't have enough code enforcement officers, but I guess we're going to be hiring some more. But anyway, thank you all and good.
Thank you, Councilmember Trammell. As the rental inspection specifics get worked out, those are some of the kinds of things certainly for consideration. But Councilmember Abubakar.
Thank you, Madam President. And yes, thank you to my colleague, Ms. Trammell, for an excellent, not just day, but week of public safety. We pushed in a fire engine at Station 25 on Friday, which was, I think, the second truck that station has had in its entire history. So that was amazing. And then getting to see Station 21 open up today was certainly a privilege. And I'm very grateful to everything that Ms. Trammell does to support our public safety officers. I also want to talk more about collaboration, because I think that there's just been some awesome things happening in the district and in the city. On Saturday, we had the party to end all parties, where we closed down the Nickel Bridge in partnership with the Westover Hills Neighborhood Association and the Richmond Metropolitan Transit Authority. There were, hundreds, I think probably broke 1,000 people on the bridge at one time with music, and it was just a great showing of the community. I thank my colleague, Councilmember Lynch, for her support and for being there, and some of our state delegation that was also there. And other news, DPW collaborated with our neighborhood to announce their plan for the future of Cherokee Road. If anybody is familiar with Cherokee Road, they know that it is extremely dangerous. It's not an inconvenience, it's dangerous, and has been in dire need of substantial repairs and replacement since it was in Chesterfield County's hands back in the 70s. So I want to note that my predecessor, Councilmember President Nye, started conversations with the residents of Cherokee Road around this, and I think we did a great job of coming up with a compromise that is going to be kind of the least intrusive while also still providing for complete streets and something safe for pedestrians and cyclists as well as motorists. More to come on that in the future, but also know that DPU started a project today on immediate repairs of Cherokee Road that have been in the works, and so that will be going on through the end of December. Again, my another shout out to DPW for collaborating with us in the Westover Hills Elementary School on making sure that we are addressing some of the impacts of the Jank Road Improvement Project on the school's carpool lane. We are working in close partnership with them and with our engineering consulting firm, Timmons, to make sure that that works for the school and for the future of Westover Hills parents and families. So thank you again to DPW for that. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Abubakar. Councilwoman Lynch.
Thank you. To echo my colleagues' sentiments, that was the best darn birthday party I've been to in a long time. Thank you so much for creating that moment in community. That was really, really cool. And happy birthday, Bridge. Just a couple of announcements. I'll keep it brief. Wanted to say thank you yet again to the Christian family for what I thought was one of the most beautiful street naming dedications I've ever been a part of. That was for Dr. Joan Bell Christian. I don't know if any of you know her family. She was a stalwart in many parts of the city, but she was an East End person too, Councilmember Newbill. I'm sure you would have known a lot of folks there. It was just a really, really good celebration, and want to say thank you again to that family for a beautiful event. Also, thank you for anybody who's participating in our upcoming command staff walk for Sector 213. Going to make it, that's from 4 to 5:30. And then Thursday, we will be having our 5th District Town Hall from 6 to 8, and that will be at the Richmond School of the Arts. So we're really excited to be with everybody south of the river this Thursday. So come out and join us. Pizza, I think we're doing pizza and some other tasty morsels. So please come join us. And that got other civic associations going on next week, but I'm going to save it because I could go on for a couple minutes on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lynch. Councilman Burton.
So last week I had the honor of pushing in a new fire truck at the Maple Avenue Fire Station. It was very cool to celebrate that milestone for that group of very hardworking firefighters and public safety folks, and so that was a big honor to be invited to that. I also was able to actually join a group of RPS teachers this weekend to attend a curriculum development program at Yale University. It was an excellent model of some of our most dedicated teachers honing their craft and really being dedicated to improving the educational outcomes of their students and ways that we can support our teachers in their professional development and supporting them to make sure that we retain our greatest teachers as well here in RPS. So that was a great program to see, and I'll tell you more about it as time goes on. The next thing going on for us here is we will be having a town hall on December 10th about the second draft of the code refresh, as well as any community issues that people would like to bring up in an open forum, and that will be at Mary Mumford Elementary on Wednesday, December 10th.
Thank you, Councilman Breton. Councilwoman Gibson.
Thank you. I'm not sure I'll be able to beat the speed over there in the 1st District. I'm going to try. Thank you to GRTC and to DPW for coming out to our special meeting that we had regarding the North-South Pulse Line. We had a great conversation and plan to have more updates and opportunities for collaboration and discussion regarding this important transportation initiative. I also enjoyed attending the Brooklyn Park Fest on Sunday. So lovely outside, so many happy people, so much great food, such a good time. It was wonderful to meet and see so many residents supporting small businesses in the 3rd District. I didn't see Councilmember Robertson, but I heard she came. Our next district meeting will be held on November 19th. At 6 p.m. at John Marshall High School. We will be joined by our new CAO, Mr. Oni Donald. He'll be there to introduce himself and answer questions. And DPW will also be giving a presentation that night regarding the Fall Line Trail. And the second draft maps and rules for code refresh come out on Monday, as we've been discussing. With this, there are several open houses and events for the new maps starting next week. That includes Wednesday, November 19th, 2025, Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Oh, sorry, let me tell you where and when. 4 to 7 p.m. The first one, Wednesday, November 19th, 4 to 7 p.m. at Richmond Public Main Street, the main library at 101 East Franklin Street. Thursday, November 20th, that's from 9 to noon at City Hall lobby. And also same day, November 20th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Southside Community Services Center. So please make sure you sign up for our email list if you have not already, which can be found on the rva.gov website. And if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me at kenya.gibson@rva.gov or our wonderful liaison, Sarandon Elliott, at sarandon.elliott@rva.gov, or you can call our office at 804-646-6055.
Thank you, Councilmember Gibson. Councilmember Jones?
Thank you, Madam President. We will not be having our town hall meeting this month, but we will see you all next. We will not be having our town hall meeting this month, and we'll see you all on December 18th at 6 p.m. for our annual 9th District Holiday Soiree. We will also be simultaneously hosting a silent headphone party for our young people. 9th District residents, please visit, I don't know how to read this, you call Taya to RSVP. And then Thursday, November 20th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., join the planning department for a panel discussion at Southside Community Resource Center. This is the one at Southside Plaza, as they introduce the new draft of updated zoning maps and district regulations. What's happening at your local library on this November 20th from 4:30 to 5:30. Learn about the indigenous peoples of North America. Every Wednesday at 5:30. It started October the 22nd, but it runs through December 3rd. Start speaking Spanish through a 6-week course where you'll learn the basics of conversational Spanish in a friendly and supportive setting. And every day from 11 to 5 p.m., they also have one-on-one tech help with library staff who will help you accomplish your digital literacy goals. And not lastly, and every Monday through Thursday, they also have homework help and reading together from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. And then lastly, every Thursday from 11 to 12:30 p.m., Shillong Farms Mobile Market. We will have fresh and affordable locally grown fruits and vegetables. For more information, you can visit Broad Rocks Library, the website. But as always, you can contact my office at nicole.jones@rva.gov, by phone 804-646-2779, or contact Taya West at taya.west@rva.gov. And before I close, and she's probably going to kill me, but I feel the need to say this, I want to say a happy belated birthday to our council president, who does so much for this council and is always, always, always on the go. We just want to publicly say we appreciate you and thank you and hope you had an amazing birthday. You want to sing?
Thank you.
We can sing. She said no.
Thank you. Councilwoman Robertson?
Okay. Is that thank you for not singing, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're the chair. All right, 6th District. We are having robust conversation on November the 18th at the Planning Commission in regards to the Cultural Heritage Stewardship Plan, which I know we have a lot of interest from the residents, as well as council members. That will be on the 18th at 6 o'clock on the 5th floor. Highland Park Civic Association will have that meeting this week, Wednesday, November the 12th, which I will be attending to address concerns that the residents have raised. I understand that Chief of Police will be joining me for that meeting as well. That's 6:30 to 8 o'clock, 3030 Meadowbridge Road. Also have been mentioned so far as it relates to the zoning code refresh meetings that will be held at the Franklin Library as well as at City Hall on the 17th and the 18th of this month. If you have any questions about that or any concerns that you'd like to bring to our attention, I serve on the Citizen Advisory Board for that initiative, and we are always open and want to hear more back from you as we look at doing some amending the current plan in response to your comments. Also, I want to mention that the Giving Heart 20th Anniversary Community Thanksgiving Fest Day is November the 27th, which will be held at the Richmond Convention Center. It's a grand opportunity for folk to come together, get a nice Thanksgiving meal, meet your neighbors, but please make sure that you mark that on your calendar. And I want to thank the administration for their forward action that they've taken in regards to the shutdown of the government and the lack of SNAP benefits being made available to many of our families in the city of Richmond. I really want to appreciate Feed More for their work that they've done in partnership, but not only the state has joined in, the region has joined in, and many partners have come to the table to assist in providing just essential food for families in a time of a crisis situation that we're dealing with now. We are hopeful and prayerful that this whole shutdown will end soon. Appreciate the administration efforts to address housing crisis, additional housing crises that have come up in relationship to the shutdown, and all of the other kinds of initiatives that the city have been willing to sacrifice to make sure that we keep people on payroll that may have been losing their regular salaries as well. You can reach me at 804-314-7658. That's my cell. You can reach the office at 804-646-7964. Kimberly Kyle is the liaison for the 6th District, and between Kimberly and myself, we're more than available to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Vice President Jordan.
Thank you. Our 2nd District Community Meeting will be this Wednesday, November 12th at 6 o'clock via Zoom. Again, that's going to be a virtual meeting this time, so the Zoom link is on our social media pages and our newsletter. You can also Google Catherine J. RVA Linktree, and it'll take you to that information. At that meeting, we'll be joined by our General Assembly delegation to discuss the 2026 General Assembly session. Planning Department will also be there to talk about the 2nd round of code refresh, and the Office of Sustainability will discuss the plastic bag tax and more. Code refresh updates have already been referenced. There are open houses and panel discussions. You can always Google RVA code refresh for those details. I also want to highlight that also on Wednesday, we have our Governmental Operations Committee. It'll be at 1 o'clock, and the agenda includes a report from the Public Utilities and Services Commission, as well as an update on the city's combined sewer overflow work and consideration of several pieces of legislation. So you can attend in person at Chambers at City Hall or watch online. And if you need to reach our office, dial 804-646-6532. Thank you so much. I am so sorry. Let me correct the time for the GovOps Committee meeting. It is at 2 o'clock.
Thank you. Just a few announcements, and I do want to say thank you again to my colleague for birthday well wishes, and want to make sure we also extend, we had another birthday on 10/31. She probably won't say anything, but we'll extend birthday well wishes to Councilwoman Gibson as well. Just want to say thank you. Just a few announcements. The East End Solar Meadow Project, we will have sessions to discuss the transformation of our 25 to 30 plus acres at 3800 East Richmond Road into a sustainable energy hub and pollinator garden. The community engagement sessions will be as follows. We have Wednesday, November 12th at 6:30 p.m. at the Powhatan Community Center, 5051 Northampton Street. We have the next meeting on Monday, November 17, at 6:30 p.m. at Ashley Oaks Apartment, 1402 Jenny Shear Road. Then a third meeting will be Wednesday, November 19th at 6:30 p.m. at Franklin Military Academy, 701 North 37th Street. Would ask the community to come out to hear about the proposal, but also to provide suggestions, give input in terms of how and what we'd like to see as community benefit opportunities, and how the entity will fully engage with the community. Just a few things. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. Want to make sure we take time to recognize and celebrate. We also had a period, certainly in some places this past Sunday, celebrating our first responders. These are courageous persons who have just continued to give and to work on behalf of citizens, and some unfortunately have given and paid the ultimate sacrifice, but we thank each of them, all of them. Again, veterans, first responders, all of those persons who serve in that regard. Want to wish everyone just a great Thanksgiving holiday. Yes. Yes, great Thanksgiving holiday, fun, food, family, and with that, for any additional information, feel free to contact my liaison, Sam Patterson, 804-241-7544, or you can contact me at 804-543-7837. Either of us will certainly be responsive. Thank you so much. Members, I want to thank you all. With this meeting now stands adjourned.